Information fueled, opinion driven. This is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk 99.7. WTF.
Super Talk 99.7 WTN. We're shifting gears away from presidential politics for a few moments. My name is Matt Murphy, by the way. If you're just joining us, this is the Matt Murphy Show on Super Talk until 3 o'clock this afternoon. We hand off to Brian Wilson at that time. It's live and it's local. It's a great conversation every single Monday through Friday from early in the morning with Dan Mandis in Nashville's Morning News through Chris Hand, yours truly, and Brian in the afternoons until the great one at 7 o'clock tonight. On this Thursday edition, I say we're shifting away from presidential politics. We may get back into that with Mr. Wilson toward the end of the hour. But right now, I had a wonderful experience. I love the community that I have joined over these last several years. Since I came to Middle Tennessee in December of 2021, I've gotten to know so many of you. I felt like I knew the South. I felt like I kind of knew by extension Tennessee, growing up in Georgia and living in Alabama for so many years. But as the places and the people change just slightly, those changes are noticeable, and it's just been wonderful to embrace all of you in Middle Tennessee and to watch as the city grows and changes over these years that I have been here. One of the great locations in this area is Leapers Fork, Tennessee. If you've never been, you got to go. It is a fabulous little bitty, I don't even know how to describe it. It's a little hamlet. It's a little village. It's a little farming community that's grown into so much more. And if you go, you're no doubt likely to have some lunch. One of the at least two, I guess, lunch places that are available or dinner places that are available. There's, a joint to watch some music. I don't need to give them any extra promotion, Fox and Lock, but they're there. And then there are many different business establishments to head down to. I was recently down there with the wife and friends, and I went into a business. We go to the various shops and just look around and do our things. And we went into a business and had a wonderful get-together with a lovely woman by the name of Melissa. And I have subsequently had an opportunity to meet her husband, Don. And I invited them to be a part of the show, primarily based on some of the stories they were telling me about Leapers Fork and, by extension, some of the folks that they do business with. One way or the other, it's a pleasure to introduce you to Don and Melissa, the owners of The Bunker in Leapers Fork, Tennessee. Hello, Don. Hello, Melissa. How are y'all?
Hey, Matt.
Good. How are you, Matt?
I'm doing well. Thank you for stopping by. I appreciate it. Y'all didn't have to close up shop for me, did you?
No. Are you kidding? We came, this is like our Musk and Trump.
I know.
For 2024. It's great.
Honestly,
it might not be 2.5 hours, but we'll try to go and get to it.
I've listened to you for years, so thank you so much for having us on. This is definitely a treat for us.
Well, as soon as I walked through your doors, it was a wonderful treat for me. Tell me a little bit about... and either one of you can start. Melissa, I guess I'll go with you first. I mean, talk to me about how you guys made the decision to start your business called The Bunker.
So when we first moved, kind of like you, I'm from Georgia, Matt. We moved to Tennessee. It's been almost 10 years ago. And we originally started in Nashville and kind of started driving around and seeing things outside of the city and found this little gym called Leapers Fork. We would go out on the weekends, just enjoy our drive. And I said to my husband, I would love to own a little boutique out here. Just the cutest little artsy community. So 2020 came around and then we go through COVID and we decided, you know what, it's kind of time to make the move. And at that point in time, I was having some health problems, had to have some surgery. And to be honest with you, it sort of changed my outlook on life a little bit when you go through something like that. And I said, let's do it. So we did. He agreed. We got out there and we really just stumbled upon a little space, and we didn't have a huge plan to begin with. I just knew that it was some place that I wanted people to be able to come and buy a t-shirt, buy some little piece of something to take home with them, where there's something for everybody, whether it's a $5 item or we have custom cowboy hats or, turquoise. Because I saw a definite, there wasn't that out there at the time. Beautiful art galleries, very expensive, nice things. So there's definitely a need for that. And we knew starting into it, we wanted to give back to the community. Our premise is God, country, and freedom. So we found The Bunker.
There's a clear there's a military presence when you walk into The Bunker. I mean, there's an obvious appreciation for our military military families and veterans. That is Don, that's clearly something that was important to you guys when you started this shop.
Oh, absolutely. You know, that's why the Bible is there. That's open. We have 2 American flags hanging from the ceiling. And another, you know, just honoring the vets, honoring police, you know, really honoring all our first responders. You know, that's, we, you know, with everything that's gone on in the world, you know, whatever, the past 10 years, we just wanted to make sure we gave back and showed our support for, you know, all those different branches of the military, first responders, like I just mentioned. So we've loved being out there. I have to tell you, I mean, the number of people we have coming in from all over the country, California, you know, Illinois, New York, wherever it's from, the stories alone were worth opening the shop.
We've met people from Sweden,
Yeah.
China. It's really become quite a little destination for people to come out and see what the community has to offer.
So my backstory, and just to fill those who haven't listened to it, because I've told the story once before on the air, is this was the day we went down, my wife and I went down with 2 of our good friends. We had scheduled to go down to have lunch, and the day before, the assassination attempt against Donald Trump happened. And look, I wear my politics on my sleeve on a day-to-day basis for 3 hours a day at least. I mean, really for 24 hours a day. And so I'm not necessarily one to wear, you know, clothing or whatever, but I'm also not afraid of it. I love your shirt, by the way.
Thank you. Yeah.
If you're watching on Super Talk TV, there's got the fight picture on the back. The front's better, though. I love that. You missed. So I said to hell with it, and I put on my Trump shirt, and I walk into town, and I wasn't asking for a political conversation. I was just offering my expression of love and support for Donald Trump and happiness that it was not a successful assassination attempt, because God forbid what that looks like. And, you know, look, I know that Leiper's Fork is artistic in its nature, and you know, it's a little more low key in terms of dynamic political expression. I think that's a nice way of putting it. But I was really surprised with the number of people that seemed surprised that I was wearing a Trump shirt, right? And it wasn't even negative. It was just a genuine, like, surprise. And so I'm walking around, I'm experiencing that. We walk to a number of shops, and then we walk into the bunker. And I thought, well, baby, I'm home now.
We appreciate that.
Wanted, yeah.
Because you guys are obviously not afraid to express your belief in where this country needs to be, and you're selling, you know, various items in support of Donald Trump. And that is your right as a proprietor of the shop. Obviously, you get to choose what you sell inside of your shop. Maybe it's not for everybody, but it's certainly for some folks. It's for me, and it's for a lot of other people. What's been the reaction?
Well, I think what we were surprised at is, you know, it wasn't supposed to be just a Trump store, which it's not. But, I mean, I was actually approached about 4 months after we had signed the lease and we're doing the build out. The owner of the building approached me and he asked me, hey, listen, there's some people that are concerned in the town that you're going to open a Trump shop. And I was like, well, that's not what I'm doing, but what if I did? And basically, you know, we went ahead, we did our thing. My wife's like, let's kind of, you know, just watch what we put out at first. And I really didn't want to do that, but I listened to her. And basically, you know, one of the first things that happened, we had a woman come in that lived in California, had been here like 4 years, told us we should do a shirt called Don't California My Leiper's Fork. So we did it. We did a shirt. We sold, like, I think it was somewhere between 50 and 100 in the first week and a half, 10 days. And you got to remember, the majority of that goes back to charity anyway. So it was, you know, it was great. The neighboring shop was offended by the shirt, asked me to take it down. I told him no. And by the way, let me stipulate that our shop is small, but we were also allowed to market or advertise anything out in front of the shop. So
you had the shirts displayed right outside your door.
The shirt was on a mannequin.
Rolling mannequin that I rolled in and out every day and every night. So it was not affixed to the building, wasn't a sign. It was just a T-shirt on a mannequin.
So your neighbor didn't like this.
Neighbor didn't like it. So I ordered more shirts. And
I
mean, yeah. So
you don't like it? Okay, I'm gonna order 200 more.
Well, I mean, because I think it was the point, and it was the fact that, you know, they knew what our shop was about. They knew. So anyway, we ordered the shirt. We ordered the shirts. Shortly after that, I get a call from the owner of the building. He's like, Don, he goes, would you not agree that would offend some people? And I'm like, I go, I don't really know what you're talking about, because these days everything offends people. The Bible will offend them.
Right.
So he said, well, he goes, I don't care. He goes, you got to bring it inside. And I'm like, well, do I have a choice? He's like, no. I'm like, okay. So at that point, I didn't know exactly what to do. So I brought the shirt inside. It wasn't 2-3 weeks later, we had a doormat out in front of our store, and I'd just say it had Kamala Harris, Nancy Pelosi, and Joe Biden on it that said "wipe here, here, here." That had been there since the inception.
Which, by the way, is everybody's favorite thing to do when they walk through our store.
Right. I mean,
you need to let people know where they're standing right as they come in the door. I mean, there's nothing wrong with that.
No, exactly.
Nothing wrong with that.
So we did that, and or that was already out, and the owner said we realized at times the mat was being flipped over at night, and then I got a call, take that inside. So it got to the point where it just got frustrating, because we were like, well, that isn't even Trump stuff.
Mm-hmm.
That's not even, so we had bought all this inventory, and, we probably have $200,000 into the shop. And at the end of the day, basically what the lease states is at the discretion of the landlord. If it offends him, he can ask you to remove anything. Well, the problem that we have is everything we've basically put out, not everything, but, we don't know what does and what doesn't. And there's other things at other shops that we know offend our customers or may offend us, and that's fine.
So I just want to give people some of the lay of the land of is it The Bunker?
It is The Bunker.
The Bunker.
Yes.
Okay, so the Bunker in Leapers Fork. My memory, you have some beautiful wooden waving flags that you sell.
Handmade by a police officer.
You have... I remember the Bible. I remember the gorgeous cowboy hats, and you have a variety of other like baseball type caps. You've got Trump paraphernalia and various stuff, but you also have knives.
Oh yeah.
You have some beautiful jewelry,
all handmade jewelry,
I would call it a patriotic variety store.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
Right.
Yeah, and I really try to focus on local artists. The guy that makes our knives, he's not local, but U.S. everything. I'd love to have every single thing to be
like handmade, handcrafted stuff.
You're not going to find this online usually. You're not going to find it down at Macy's. It's all very specialty items. Yeah.
Right. So so it's not exclusively designed to be, like you mentioned, a Trump store, but obviously you've got very patriotic things, and you offer your support. And I thought about the reaction that I'd gotten from the Leapers Fork folks, the people that are around in the community, before I knew any of this backstory.
Sure.
And I said to myself at the time, well, you'll know exactly the type of customer you're dealing with as soon as they walk through the door, because if the shop's not for them, they'll probably walk in, say thank you, and walk out, right? And that's all good. That's fine. Yeah. That's to each their own, just as they would in any type of shop. What amazed me, Don, was the amount of pushback, as you're describing it today, that you're getting just from the community, because you think a little bit differently than maybe they do, or you think differently than they want you to think.
So I just want to interject in that. I think that in, me working and dealing with people, the people that were born in Leapers Fork, the people that live there, they're very much on board. We have a lot of customers. We have found more problems within the business community there. So I want to specify that.
That's true.
The business community within the village itself.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and it's not as, the other thing that, where it expands a little further than that and has been a little frustrating, is when we ran into this issue, we looked at buying another building in town. And we had found one. And this is just a little over a year ago. There was a gentleman there selling one of the buildings in the town. And I saw him at Fox and Lock one day, and I asked him, I'm like, listen, word is that you're selling your place. Can you tell me what you're asking? And he told me. I said, so if I bring you a contract next week for that, would we have a deal? Yeah. So we had our attorney write everything up. We had him over to the house, went over all the details. Everything was good. He was just going to get back to me and let me know what his attorney thought. I heard back 2 weeks later that he couldn't do it because he said his wife wouldn't let him. in knowing how the things are in the town and knowing how they work, I said, is it a money thing or are you looking to sell it to somebody else? Oh, no. We're not selling, nothing like that. He's like, it's my wife. I was like, please don't let me find out that you sold it. 6 weeks. The person who has bought the majority of the property in Leapers Fork bought that property and is now turning it into something else. And I can't say for sure, but I think, again, this is just my opinion. I think that person keeps buying things so he can do exactly what he wants and not allow anybody else to do what they may want.
And I want to be clear, and you, Don, you and I, and Melissa, you and I have had enough conversations that I think I know where your mind is here, but correct me if I'm wrong. You're not asking anybody else to manage their business in any other way.
No.
And that's the difference that I want to make sure that people understand. Don and Melissa just want to run their business, run their shop, enjoy their customers, enjoy their community, and let the other people do the same thing.
Correct.
It's those guys that are insisting that you change your ways that give me the heartburn and that kind of piss me off just a little bit, to be honest.
That's right.
And I will say that I do feel at times within where we lease within the space that we are a little bit discriminated against because of some of the items that we carry. Wouldn't you?
Oh yeah. I mean, 100%. I mean, when you're not allowed to advertise. So everybody else in our building has things like out on the front porch, marketing their stuff. Well, I'll say it. There are things that I know would be somewhat offensive to me or I might not like, but that's not my business. That's
They're
their
not
freedom.
being asked to pull
It's their
it down.
business.
That's their freedom of speech.
Exactly.
That is what the greatest part about this country is. And
Look, and until, by the way, I don't mean to interrupt you, but until I walked into your shop, the best thing that came out of Leapers Fork was those bird forks. That I don't even know. Do y'all know what I'm talking about? I don't know who does. Is in some shop in Leapers Fork, you go, and they're called the olive pickers or whatever.
I know who you're talking.
Yeah. But somebody takes old antique forks and they take all the tines of the forks and they bend the tines of the forks down to make the finger. And then you can use them to like pick out olives or whatever.
So many great
Fabulous.
stores. Yes. Yeah.
I mean, but apparently the people we're talking about, they get offended by that. They think they have the authority to tell the shop owner not to run it anymore. I mean, come on, man.
Yeah.
That's what's happening.
That's not America.
I agree.
And I think that's where we are. We opened this store to promote our beliefs, which is God first, our country, and freedom. And I don't know if did you see our sign, the bunker values?
I did.
When you walked in. So it's pretty much stated out there. And I think everybody should have that right.
And a big metal sign on the right-hand side, right? Yeah, absolutely.
Everybody should have that right, for their beliefs and their values. I may not agree with them. They may not agree with mine, but that's our right as an American.
Everyone, I've got a lot of response coming in on the membersnutrition.com super text line. We're going to take a short time out. Don and Melissa are with us. They are owners of the Bunker in Leapers Fork. What is the, people are asking me about the address. What is your address?
It's 4208 Old Hillsborough Road in Franklin, and we're suite number 4.
Okay. So if you know where Leapers Fork is, if you go through Leapers Fork, you go by Fox and Locks on the right, you keep going down a little bit, you'll see the building on your right, and you're right in the corner of that building. So, I mean, you can't, if you're in Leapers Fork,
Right.
You really
There's
can't
not
miss
many spaces out there.
Yeah, there you go. We'll continue in just a moment. It's 2:23 on Super Talk 99.7 WTN.